What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, taking a look at Stokastic's NFL lineup generator for tonight's showdown slate between the Vikings and the Eagles. While you're coming in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. If you haven't already checked out our podcast channel, highly recommend doing that as well. We are doing some podcast exclusive content this year. You're not going to find it on YouTube. You're only going to find it on our podcast channel. So go check out the Stokastic DFS podcast channel if you haven't already done so. All right, I think in order to keep this relatively short, I'm just going to go until I find 5 lineups that I like on each of DraftKings and FanDuel. We'll see if I'm capable of counting to 5 while doing a stream. It'll be interesting. All right, I'm going to start with DraftKings here. And I'm just going to do all lineups, let it give me what it gives me. And I'm not going to specify the game script either. You could, obviously, this is helpful if you're wanting to make your own lineups. You can choose different game scripts within the lineup generator. Choose, both teams going off 6+ points above the spread. Eagles going off, Vikings not. Whatever you want to choose as far as the game script. Very cool feature here in the lineup generator, and you're only going to find plus EV lineups regardless of what you choose. So whichever game script you choose, you're still only going to find some plus EV lineups. Very cool product here. And again, the lineup generator is only $14.95 per week. This is our least expensive NFL DFS product available, and it gives you only plus EV lineups. So a very cool tool here. All right, I'm just going to use standard projections, though. Not going to choose any particular game script for the purpose of this video. All right, so the first lineup we see here projects pretty well. So from a projection standpoint, looks good. From a correlation standpoint, we have Hurts in the captain spot with AJ Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus. That looks good to me. We've got Kirk Cousins with KJ Osborne and TJ Hawkinson. So great from a correlation standpoint. And then finally, from a uniqueness standpoint, try not to be duped too many times. We are leaving 1,100 on the table. So right away, I think this looks like a good lineup. I'm going to save this one. So we're one down. All right, second lineup we have here, we have projects for 88 points. So not, the highest projected. We have some lineups. If you run the optimal, I think it projects for like 102, 103 fantasy points tonight. So this is, 15 points behind the optimal, which I think is fine on a showdown slate. Being just 15 points off the optimal seems okay to me. So we have Alexander Madison in the captain spot. We have, from a correlation standpoint, we have Kirk Cousins with KJ Osborne. So correlates well there. We have Jalen Hurts naked. I'm okay with that because Jalen Hurts does get so much of his productivity on the ground. I don't think you need to pair him with the pass catcher. I still prefer to if he's in the captain spot. But if he's not in the captain spot, if you have Jalen Hurts in the flex, I think it's okay to run him out there naked. So I'm actually okay with this lineup from a correlation standpoint. And then finally, from a uniqueness standpoint, yeah, we're leaving a ton of salary on the table. Not concerned with dupes with this lineup. So that's 2 down. I like both of these lineups. All right, third lineup, we have DeAndre Swift in the captain spot. Projects well. This one within about 6 points of the optimal here. DeAndre Swift at the captain spot. We have Jalen Hurts with AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Devontae Smith. That's interesting. You can afford to pay for him because you have DeAndre Swift in the captain spot. And then we have KJ Osborne in there as the only Viking representative. No problem with the correlations in this one. And then finally, from a uniqueness standpoint, again, we're leaving 2,200 on the table, not worried about being duped. So 3 for 3 so far. All right, fourth lineup. Now this one is about 15 points off the optimal. Not the best projected lineup out there. This one clearly is a Vikings onslaught lineup. So we have Kirk Cousins in the captain spot with Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne, plus 2 running backs. Look good from that perspective. And then finally, from a uniqueness standpoint, we're only leaving 200 on the table. So slight concern there. But we do have CJ Ham in here, who's fairly low owned. He's paired with Alexander Madison. So you have the double running back build that a lot of people don't love to do. And the full Vikings onslaught, I don't think is going to be very common. So even with only leaving 200 on the table, I think I am okay with this from a uniqueness standpoint. I think I'd go with it. I don't think it's going to be duped too many times. So I'll save that one. So we are 4 for 4. And then our final lineup, we have Kirk Cousins again with Jefferson and Osborne. And then on the Eagles side, we have the Eagles defense with Jake Elliott. So no primary skill players for the Eagles, no Jalen Hurts. We just have the kicker and the defense. I don't think it's going to be used too many times. We're also leaving 2,600 on the table. This looks like a pretty unique lineup to me. So Yeah, I like all the lineups we're seeing here today. I don't have any qualms with it from a projection standpoint, a uniqueness standpoint, or a correlation standpoint. They all look good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and save, and I'm just going to save 20 lineups. Looks like it's doing 40. Oh, okay. Maybe we just did 20. Yeah, no, we did 40 lineups there. All right, so after 40 lineups, our most exposed player is Jalen Hurts. Makes sense. He is our top projected player by, I think, like 4 fantasy points. Looks really good today. Alexander Madison, 50% of lineups. He's pretty cheap for his role on the Vikings at just 7.6K. DeAndre Swift going to look pretty good with no Kenneth Gainwell out there tonight in 47% of lineups. He's just 4K. Great price tag there. TJ Hawkinson, Eagles defense, Jefferson, Cousins. Love it. I'm very happy with this lineup set. KJ Osborne, 28%. I think that he's somebody who people want to play Addison. I think Addison is the sexier click. KJ Osborne maybe goes a little bit underused as a result, even though he played more snaps than Addison last week. I like the way these lineups are shaken out. So that'll do it for the DraftKings portion. Let's look at some FanDuel lineups as well. And again, I'm going to do all lineups, not going to tell it a game script. All right, first lineup we have here, we have Jalen Hurts in the MVP spot. No pass catchers for the Eagles. We have Kirk Cousins with Jordan Addison and Ty Chandler in there, leaving $1,000 on the table for this one. So first of all, from a projection standpoint, I think it looks good. From a correlation standpoint, yeah, when I have Jalen Hurts in the MVP spot, I prefer to have at least one pass catcher in the flex, but I'm okay with it when it is Jalen Hurts. He is, again, so good on the ground. He's okay to run in the MVP spot, I think, without any pass catchers, and especially on FanDuel, where you don't get any kind of bonus for, or it's only half PPR. There's no like receiving yard bonuses, so it's a little bit easier for Jalen Hurts to get there without any pass catchers on FanDuel. And then finally, from a uniqueness standpoint, it's only leaving 1,000 on the table, so that's not a ton. We do have somewhat low-owned Addison here. We have the naked Hurts. We have low-owned Ty Chandler. I think it'll be duped some. Probably not overly duped, though, so I'll save this one. So there's one. All right, second lineup, Alexander Madison in the MVP spot. We've got Jalen Hurts with no primary pass catchers, just DeAndre Swift as a pass catcher. Eagles defense, KJ Osborne, leaving 6,000 on the table. So projection standpoint, looks okay. Uniqueness standpoint, this is going to be pretty unique. Probably not duped. If it is duped at all, it'll be duped more like 1 or 2 times. And from a correlation standpoint, I have no issue with this lineup. So 2 for 2. All right, third lineup. So we have Greg Joseph in the MVP spot. So you're counting on Greg Joseph to outscore Jalen Hurts in this lineup. I don't love that. But again, it happens more often than people play it. I think we often see that in tools that tends to go underutilized, the kicker in the MVP, and some of the secondary, tertiary players in the MVP spot is one way to get very unique. So this is counting on kind of a low scoring game here, most likely, but we've got projects fairly well. It's going to be unique because we've got the kicker in the MVP spot. We've got naked Hurts in there. And then, of course, Cousins. Anytime I play Cousins, I like to have a pass catcher in there. So projects okay, should be unique, correlates just fine. If you're willing to take the risk of Greg Joseph outscoring Jalen Hurts, I think this is an okay lineup. I think I'm at 3 now. We're answering the question, can Neil count while doing a stream? I think I'm at 3. I think I'm good, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, Eagles defense in the MVP. So first of all, projects pretty well from a FanDuel standpoint. Eagles defense in the MVP. We have Hurts in there with Devonta Smith. Looks good. Hawkinson naked, totally fine. So projects well, correlates just fine. Should be relatively unique with the Eagles defense in the MVP and leaving 2,000 on the table. So 4 for 4. And then finally, we get Jalen Hurts in the MVP. First of all, projection looks good. Jalen Hurts in the MVP with Goddard and Watkins, Madison and Osborne in the flex for the Vikings. Leaves a ton of salary on the table. Should be unique. Correlates well. Projects well. I'm good with this lineup. All right, 5 for 5. Now I'm just going to go through and save the rest of the lineup, see what kind of exposures we get. Jalen Hurts in the MVP spot, by far our most exposed player. Makes sense. He projects much better than everybody else. There's no bonus for no salary multiplier, I should say, on FanDuel. So whatever the price tag is on the player, it's the same regardless of whether in the MVP or the flex. You just get 1.5 the multiplier in terms of the fantasy points. So typically, your higher projected players are going to be more useful in the MVP spot on FanDuel than on DraftKings, where there is that multiplier on the salary in the MVP or captain spot on DraftKings. So it looks good. Having a ton of Jalen Hurts. That's probably more than I would want of Jalen Hurts in the MVP spot, because one of the easiest ways to get different is just to not play the chalk in the MVP spot. But you're going to want a lot of Jalen Hurts in the MVP. It's clearly the highest projected player on the slate. We get a lot of Kirk Cousins in there, a lot of DeAndre Swift, Eagles defense, Madison, Jefferson, a lot of the same players, some of the top scoring players. Interesting that we have Olamide Zacchaeus in there a good amount. Curious how much Quez Watkins, or what is the price tag? So Quez is 8K. Okay, that makes sense. If they were the same price, I would much prefer Quez Watkins, but Zacchaeus being significantly cheaper. Didn't run a ton of routes last week, but of course could run more as he gets deeper into his career on the Eagles. Last week was his Eagles debut, so didn't play a ton last week, but wouldn't be that shocking to see Zacchaeus get a little bit more run this week. Looks okay to me to have 12% Zacchaeus there. All right, I think that is going to do it for this video. If you haven't already done so, again, please do like the video. And again, if you want to check out the lineup generator for yourself, it's just $14.95 per week. You can find the link in the description of this video, or if you're on Twitter, you can find it in my tweet. Really, really cool tool here. Check it out if you haven't already done so.